first home. So let me start with a quick riddle for you. What's the only organ we humans build completely from scratch, depend on for our entire existence for about 9 months, and then when the job's done, we just get rid of it?
You guessed it. It's the placenta. But here's the really wild part. It's not an organ the mother builds. Nope. The placenta is built by the embryo for the embryo. It is the ultimate life support system and a brilliant diplomat, constantly negotiating with the mother's body. So here's our game plan. We're going to follow the entire blueprint of this amazing microscopic construction project. We'll start with the journey to the construction site. Then we'll witness the dramatic groundbreaking, see how all the essential plumbing and wiring gets built, and finally, really understand why this temporary organ has such a lasting impact on our lives. Okay, so our story kicks off not with a building, but with a journey. It all starts with a single cell that has to travel, transform, and divide itself into a specialized team of builders, all before it can even think about finding a place to call home.
Right after fertilization, the journey begins. As this single cell, the zygote, makes its way toward the uterus, it starts dividing like crazy. This process is called cleavage. It goes from 1 cell to 2, then 4, 8. Pretty soon it's a solid little ball of cells called the morula. And then something really cool happens. A cavity fills with fluid on the inside, turning it into this hollow structure we call the blastocyst.
And this is a huge moment, because at this stage, the blastocyst basically splits its workforce into 2 totally distinct teams. You've got the inner cell mass, which, well, that's destined to become the fetus itself. But it's that outer layer, the trophoblast, that we're interested in today. This is our construction crew. This is the team that's going to build the entire placenta.
Now, while our little blastocyst is on its journey, the construction site, the mother's uterus, is not just sitting around. It is actively preparing for arrival. Through a process called decidualization, the uterine lining gets super thick and packs itself full of nutrients, creating the absolute perfect, welcoming foundation for the embryo.
All right, now we're at the most critical phase of the whole operation, the great attachment. The blastocyst has arrived, the site is perfectly prepped, and it is time to break ground. Implantation isn't just one single event. It's more like a carefully planned 3-step invasion. It starts with a really gentle first contact called apposition. Then it moves to a much stronger bond in adhesion, and it all culminates in this audacious, incredible act of literally burrowing into the uterine wall. So apposition is kind of like the blastocyst is just testing the waters. Tiny little feelers on its surface make this gentle, pretty unstable first contact. The connection is loose, which is smart because it allows the blastocyst to kind of roll around and find the absolute perfect spot to anchor down. Once it finds that perfect spot, the blastocyst commits. This is adhesion. It uses a sort of molecular superglue to create this incredibly powerful and stable attachment, locking itself in place for what comes next, which is the most aggressive step of all. So how does an embryo invade a uterine wall? It creates something truly remarkable, the syncytial trophoblast. Those outer cells of our construction crew, they fuse together. They dissolve their own cell walls to form one giant multinucleated supercell. This thing is the engine of invasion, releasing enzymes to literally digest a path right into the uterine tissue. But this supercell is a genius with 2 jobs. While one side is aggressively burrowing in, the other side is acting like a diplomat. It starts pumping out the hormone HCG. Yep, that's the one pregnancy tests look for. Its message to the mother's body is loud and clear. Hey, don't shed the uterine lining. We're here, and we are here to stay. So, with the foundation totally secured, our construction crew gets to work on the main infrastructure. It is time to build the incredibly complex, branching system that's going to allow for the exchange of nutrients, oxygen, and all the waste products. And the speed of this construction is just mind-blowing. Around day 9, you get these little pools called lacunae that start filling up with maternal blood. By day 13, the first simple little projections, the primary villi, start to appear. And by the end of week 3, just 3 weeks, the entire functional exchange system is already built and ready to go. So the first phase of construction is pretty simple. You have these finger-like projections from the inner layer of our crew that just push into that outer supercell. This creates the initial scaffolding for the whole exchange system. Then, in phase 2,
these simple little fingers get some substance. A core of connective tissue pushes right into the center of each one, making them way stronger and more complex. These are now what we call secondary villi.
And finally, the masterstroke. That connective tissue core starts to differentiate, and it forms tiny fetal blood vessels right inside the villi. This is what creates the tertiary villi. Now, fetal blood can flow deep into these branches, getting incredibly close to the maternal blood, and that allows for the exchange of absolutely everything the fetus needs to grow.
The highway connecting the fetus to this amazing exchange site, that's the umbilical cord. Think of it as having 2 lanes going out and 1 big lane coming in. The 2 umbilical arteries carry all the deoxygenated blood and waste away from the fetus. And that single, larger umbilical vein does the opposite. It delivers all the good stuff, the oxygen and nutrients, right back to the fetus.
So, construction is complete. The placenta is fully functional. But its importance goes so far beyond just being a filter. It's time to step back and really appreciate the finished project in all its glory.
I mean, the finished placenta is an absolute multitasking marvel. It's a lung, breathing for the fetus. It's a kidney, taking out the trash. It's an entire endocrine gland, pumping out essential hormones. And it's an immune shield, passing on protective antibodies from the mother to the child. It does it all.
But remember that invasion phase we talked about? It has to be just right. What happens if it goes too far? Well, if those villi attach too deeply, it can lead to some really serious complications. Conditions like placenta accreta, increta, and percreta are what happen when the placenta invades way too deep into the uterine muscle, which just goes to show you how finely balanced this entire construction process really is.
You know, there's a quote that just captures the whole legacy of this organ perfectly. It says, "The placenta is a diary of the pregnancy. Its health, its size, its structure, it all tells the story of those 9 months, offering crucial clues about the health of both the mother and the child long after it's gone."
And that really brings us to our final thought. If this one temporary organ holds the entire detailed record of our first home and our first interactions with the world, what secrets about our long-term health and our development are we only just now beginning to learn how to